Hello, folks, and welcome to a very scary book haul. These are the books I got during the first third of the year. Some of the books I've read already, some of them I have not. And so we're just going to go over all of these. I will say these are just the books I've purchased. Some folks have given me books which I have not added to this list. So if you've gave me a book and you don't see it here, that's probably why. And so, yeah, we're just going to get into it. Let me drink my drink. First thing, this first pile of books up here, I got from a place called Interesting Editions. You can check out their website. I'm going to link it below here on the YouTube video. So if you'd like to see the other books that they have, you can search there. This is an older book from 1968 called Strange Powers of the Mind by Warren Smith. It's basically a bunch of anecdotes of paranormal things that happens, like people who can tell the future, or people who see dead ones and things like that. People who could decipher murders. I read this while I was on a trip to DC, and so this is probably one of the few books from this pile. There's probably one or two other ones that I actually have read. Next one is Oddities from 1969. This is written by Rupert T. Mould, and it says mysteries, true events, is science that science cannot explain. So another older paperback. Strange Ways of Man, Rites and Rituals and Other Incredible Origins by E. Royston Pike. This is from 1970. Demonic Possession. This is from 1975. Parallel Universe. This is from 77. I like the artwork here with the UFOs and such on the bottom. I like the way that it kind of shows the UFOs as coming from somewhere other than outer space, which I like. A lot of people say, oh, they're extraterrestrial from another planet. It's my personal belief that such phenomena comes from somewhere else, perhaps another dimension or reality. And UFOs, past, present, and future. This one's from 1986. So a lot of these paperbacks I had gotten from Interesting Editions. I had bought this book, Necroscope by Brian Lumley, from the bookseller a long while ago, and I did not expect to find part 2 by Brian Lumley. Vampiri? I don't know how to say that. I was basically in a bookstore in New York called The Sweet Pickle. You trade in books and they give you pickles in exchange for your traded in books as opposed to money. And yeah, I was not expecting to find part 2, and I actually forgot that I had purchased part 1. And so, yeah, now I have part 2. I think there's quite a few other books in that series. The Best of Shadows by Charles L. Grant. My best friend Jonathan had purchased the first Shadows book for me a long while ago. This is a compilation of short stories. I did read this one. I actually found this book one day while I was in the Strand looking for books and in the horror section, and this just jumped out at me because I was familiar with Shadows because I already had read the first one. The rest of the books on this list I purchased recently from the Strand. Okay, so the first book I got is Joyland by Stephen King. Interesting story. I had already read The Colorado Kid, and I have Later, which is still on my to-read list. And now with these, I have the 3 sort of detective mystery hard case novels by Stephen King, and that finishes that mini Stephen King collection. I still have 3 or 4 more books to buy to have a complete Stephen King collection of his collected works and novels. So that's very cool. Now, I have to say something about this next few books, and I'm just going to change the order a little bit here. I had read Paperbacks from Hell in digital form. I was looking for a physical version of Paperbacks from Hell, and they did have it in the bookstore, but it was $27, a bit too much, a bit more than I was willing to spend. Instead, I got these 3 books by the same author, Grady Hendrix. He has done great work compiling old horror novels from the 70s, 80s, and reading through them and giving us synopsis through Paperbacks from Hell. So he is very familiar with the genre and with the history of it. And so I'm excited to get into his books. I've never read any of his books before. This is the Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I have a friend who, once I posted this on Instagram, a coworker said that he purchased this book, but he hasn't read it yet. So probably gonna read it and let him know how it is. The second is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I read the inner flap for this, and it's basically about girls who get pregnant and they're taken to a house in Florida, where basically they can have their babies away from society's watchful eye and give up their babies for adoption. And so I guess this has to do with some kind of witchcraft that's maybe they're performing or that's performed on them for them to forget about the whole experience. And the last one by Grady Hendrix is Horror Store. Horror Store is about a haunted IKEA type of novel. And, I like haunted stories. Amityville is a very good movie and book that I have and I've read. The last one is Treasury of American Horror Stories. I wasn't expecting to pick this up, but as I was walking through, they had a recent buys. So the Strand Bookstore, they buy used books, and let's move this here so we can get the full effect. They buy used books, and this book, it was one of the books that was recent edition that they haven't really put on the shelf yet. And so I saw it and I recognized the cover, what it was trying to be. 51 spine-chilling tales from every state in the Union plus Washington, D.C. So the 50 states plus Washington, D.C. And we can see that there's like a murderer in the window here. I like the cover, the way it looks, and I'm really hoping to sink my teeth into this. As with the Shadows and Stephen King's short story collections, I love short stories, especially something I could read in a day or two, and if this has 51 of them, it just sounds like I'm going to have a good time with this book. So, yeah, that is everything I've gotten recently. I don't think I could fit all of the covers here, and to be honest, oh, yeah, it doesn't fit. But to be honest, there's still a bit more after Necroscope. There's Vampire, Best of Shadows, and Joyland. To be honest, there's not a lot of space on my shelf to put this stuff either. But I'll figure it out because it's what I do. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.